The silly season keeps on giving, and it seems like we're going to have some of the biggest bombshells that the Formula One world has seen recently. With Antonelli's seat brought into question, a shocking twist could see Russell and VSP and become teammates. On top of that, the downfall of Red Bull could see all of their drivers be turned upside down. So, who will drive where in 2026, and more importantly, who's the biggest winner and loser at the end of it? There has been a massive shakeup in the drivers' lineup in Formula One's expectations, as Kimi Antonelli is now suddenly under a huge threat to lose his Mercedes seat from the stand, although the general expectation was that Russell was going to be sacked. If this wild scenario was going to come to fruition, there has been a new development of events that would put Kimi in Alpine. The French-based squad is going to use Mercedes engines from 2026 onwards, and it would be a great opportunity for them to rack up some points in the midfield, as well as allow Kimi to gain a lot more confidence before being brought back to Mercedes. Of course, this has a lot of question marks written all over it because Kimi is doing a great job in Mercedes. Why would you want to kill his confidence by putting him in a team after knowing that the Silver Arrows will probably fight up front for the championship? Yes, when a driver of Max's caliber becomes available, no one is safe out there. But at the end of the day, the core lineup that you have is just too good to be thrown away. Still, it's the only way to see who's better in the same car, Russell or Stan. It's also deserving for Russell, who came to where he is right now, thanks to the gritty path he's had with Williams and being Hamilton's teammate. Kimi, on the other hand, might have been promoted a bit too early for Mercedes' liking, which was prompted by Hamilton's departure. Putting two alpha dogs in one team is not usually ending well for the team's chemistry, but Russell welcomed anyone who is brave enough to be his teammate, Max included, so whether or not this will happen the next couple of weeks will tell. And of course, we wouldn't be talking about Antonelli to Alpine if it weren't for Max to Mercedes. The four-time world champion stated loud and clear that he is not happy with the development of the car and the technical upgrades that are being introduced weekend after weekend on the RB21. Ever since Newsy's departure, the dominoes have fallen to the point of Hornet being sacked with immediate effect, and this prompted us to believe that Max is the last link that needs to depart before this team has entered a full turmoil phase. Rest assured that if Red Bull's downfall continues, Max won't be part of it, so the coincidence of Max and Wolff being in Sardinia is just too much to believe in. Wolff was very clear about his preferences. He is going to chase Verstappen for as long as he is available, and that is not going to change regardless of his drivers. This puts Russell in a very poor position despite the new development regarding Antonelli's arrival in Alpine, because the first one is a proper report, while the latter one is yet to be proven to a greater extent. Let's not forget that Antonelli has a contract with Mercedes for 2026, so he is highly unlikely to be put under this pressure compared to Russell. Despite the Brit having an amazing performance recently and being a race winner in 2025. The latest report states that Veyer, Stan, and Wolff didn't link up in Sardinia. And again, I find this very hard to believe. How big is the chance that he and the Austrian team principal are going to be at the same place in the world at the same time and not meet? Especially with all the rumors swirling and with Horner now out of the way, the staff has one of two choices: stay with Red Bull and help them rebuild from scratch, or join Mercedes and continue winning more championships under the newly regulated era. And all of this is going to ravage Red Bull. The Austrian team are going to suffer a lot from the latest changes, and they might be forced to rebuild from ground zero. What does this rebuild mean? It's literally promoting two drivers from their youth team and believes that they have what it takes to bring them to the promised land after Visayan's departure. In order for this to happen, Max needs to make the decision first. Leave Red Bull while he's still in a position from which he can choose, and if he does that, the Austrian team would have to promote Aju. The Frenchman has proven to be the best option to replace Max because of a very simple reason. He is performing very well in racing balls, but judging from approximate history, it has been proven that it's not really an upgrade to sit next to Max or in Max's car from their sister team. Tsunoda did very well with the Italian squad, and once promoted to Red Bull, he scored only 7 points. On the other hand, Lawson has 12 points with Racing Bulls after the demotion and is now definitely pushing the narrative that Red Bull is a team with a car that can be driven by a handful of drivers. However, I don't think they are ready to go with an outside hire. What this would mean is that Aja and Lindblad will both be given the chance to prove their worth in Red Bull, because if Verstappen leaves, I don't think they have too much to lose. It's a low-risk, high-reward scenario in which Red Bull would see the talents of Avid Limblad, who is dubbed to be the next Verstappen in the team, and Aja, who holds tremendous potential that needs to be polished with the right team. Be that as it may, Red Bull would have to be very careful about their choices because now that they'll enter a new era with their power units, they might want a bit of experience in terms of at least one driver. It's an approach that has been used by teams like Audi and probably Cadillac. So from this point of view, I think Red Bull could be put in the same category as these two teams when it comes to their drivers' lineup, if they're left without Max. And if you were to ask Aya, he will be a bit reserved about the seat next to Max because he knows the four-time world champion is very fast in that car, so the promotion could actually destroy his career as we know it. Elaborating further on this, Aja said, "I think Max in the Red Bull is very fast. It's his car and he drives it to the absolute limit. It's a more efficient car in high-speed corners. It's a faster car, but it's apparently hard to exploit most of it at the moment I'm not doing. It's not like I am in total control and I'm scoring points every weekend. There's still lots to learn, so it makes more sense to stay where I am at the moment. That's for sure. Yes, there is always the opportunity to put Limblad at Racing Balls first, but judging how big the difference is between these two cars may be, it would be better to tame him to Red Bull immediately. Red Bull have tons of headaches they have to deal with right now, and Max Verstappen holds the solution to all of them. But at the end of the day, they've brought this to themselves." Another team that would be very interesting to monitor closely is Cadillac. The American squad are now dubbed to sign Bottas or Perez as one of their veteran drivers, and even though there is a big probability both of them will drive for Cadillac, they could move in another direction. One of those directions is to sign Mick Schumacher, who's been looking for a redemption story ever since he was sacked by Haas back in 2022. The German driver had some opportunities to return to F1, but all of them failed. But that doesn't mean Cadillac is going to give up on him just because other teams have a driver who has the most approved to the Formula One world, is one who has been questioned a lot and hasn't been given a proper chance. Mick has experience with driving Ferrari engines for Haas, and from this point of view, I can clearly see why Cadillac is eager to sign him. You could argue that he is one of the best options from the youth pool, and if it's not for Mick, the next best option would be Joe or Tsunoda. If the Japanese driver is relieved from his duties in Red Bull, all of this is putting the entire silly season in a very great position for us to watch, and I can't wait to see who ends up where. I think you already understood who. The biggest loser here is Red Bull. They are falling apart on every side possible, and they have no idea what's going to happen in the following period because of the instability that is still present in the internal circles of the team. With all this in mind, what transfer do you think will raise the most questions and shock everyone on the grid? And more importantly, do you believe that Max and Mercedes is a duo bound to happen? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that appears on your screen right now.